I imagine that right now you're feeling a bit like Alice, tumbling down the rabbit hole. Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of election, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. But I am asking your help in the tremendous task of informing and alerting the American people.
And now, welcome to another episode of Down the Rabbit Hole. Here's your host from federaljack.com. It's Popeye.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition. It is January 30th, 2014. It's a Thursday edition, although for me it's my Friday because tomorrow I'll be taking off. So tomorrow I'll be running a rebroad of something special for you, or maybe I'll upload something. I don't know. Well, I'll figure it out. But I'll have whatever airs tomorrow night. It does not matter. It'll be filled with knowledge and love and information. So make sure you tune in. Anyway, tonight, for you, I am bringing back to the airwaves two of my very close personal friends and some of the smartest human beings I know on this planet. My two good friends, Aaron Dykes and Melisa Melton of Truthstream Media. Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
It's been too long, you two.
Thanks for acknowledging our friendship.
Well, you guys are more than just like, two researchers I know, or.
We survived the 16-hour live broadcast with you, where we just went on for. I mean, that's something that not a lot of people can say they've ever done.
That will be our bonding moment.
Yeah, that was our bonding moment forever.
We bonded.
And only we know where the bodies are buried.
Yeah, exactly. What did Aaron call it? The most ill-conceived fundraising event we ever did, because we didn't even bother mentioning that we were trying.
But
to
it was a
fund.
fundraiser.
Yeah. We just did 16 hours of nonstop radio,
which
was
is
good
like
stuff.
Well below minimum wage, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So should we ask the president to sign an executive order on that?
Hey, he has a pen and a phone.
Yeah, I like.
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, no, we don't live in a dictatorship. No.
He just has a pen and a phone.
I've got a pen and a phone. So what is that? I guess the Constitution, that's just garbage. The whole,
he doesn't have a Constitution. He has a pen and a phone.
I remain creeped out that they rolled out and used the auto pen, the robo-signing pen, when Obama was over in whatever foreign country, and they had to sign the legislation, and they knew that he would back it, and it just wasn't convenient for him to sign it. And after all, terrorists or communists might thwart our country if we didn't use a robo-pen to sign legislation into law. Anyone else know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know all about what you're talking about. But, you have to sign the bills to know what's in them in this country, okay? So you sign it first, and then they'll let you know.
So the whole system's on autopilot. It's just thousands of pages of laws, but ignorance of the law, that's no excuse.
Because criminals follow laws, so it all works.
Just insanity. So we should have President RoboPen.
President RoboPen. Well, we have President Teleprompter, so...
Maybe actually that's what he should be called, President Teleprompter RoboPen.
I thought that's been basically the president for the last however many years.
It's frightening. That means he's like programmable and hackable and...
I thought he already was those things. It is very scary, actually. I mean, if anybody needed any further evidence, I mean, it's it. You're done. He said, I would like to do as much as I can around Congress as possible. I have a phone. I have a pen. Just like all the founding fathers envisioned. We would all have phones and pens. And we were just, I mean, yeah. That's how it is.
I foresee the next big push is immigration reform. And a lot of people are going to say, well, what are you against immigrants? No, my mother was an immigrant. She came here. Of course, my mother also had to do things the proper way, and she actually came over on a boat, and she actually had to do things the proper way. You know, she actually had to wait her time, file an application, take a citizenship test, as did my grandfather and my grandmother and my aunt, all who immigrated here from Europe after World War II. Oh, amazing. They came through the system, and I'm not saying the current immigration system is perfect, and that I'm sure it can't be it could be overhauled. Of course, that overhaul would involve getting rid of half of the retardedness that's in there, and I would still make them take a citizenship test. I would still make them have to understand the Constitution and stuff like that. The older school immigrants that came here understood this country and its history, and they understood the Constitution, and they loved and respected it. This newer generation of immigrants, that the illegals that they want to give citizenship, they, time after time, it's been shown that they will vote Democrat. Okay, which means all they have, what you see the Democratic Party trying to do right now is they're trying to pad their voting ranks before the 2016 election and before the midterm elections. That's what you see going on right now. They want to pass that so that they can literally say I'll just throw a number out there. We'll say there's 9 million illegals that would automatically get citizenship status. Well, that means that you have 9 million new voters that will probably vote however the Democrats tell them to vote, right? And that'll be 9 million more votes to push an agenda, or however many, maybe there's even more. I'm just throwing the number of 9 out there. So that's the agenda with immigration reform. It's got nothing to do with helping anybody out. And these CEOs and stuff, yeah, we should do it. They deserve human rights. They don't want them. They don't want people. They don't want them in here legally for anything else other than slave labor. That's all. They just don't want to be. They don't want to get in trouble for hiring illegal immigrants. So they want to be able to pay them, but they don't want to be able to. They want to have them as labor. It's a long. The whole thing. I think that's the next step. Is what they're going to push next, and then they're not even going to bother worrying about Obamacare, because according to them, Obamacare is working great, right?
And the immigration thing has been on the agenda since the beginning of Obama's first term. It's just they knew that they would get to one agenda after another, and that would be a clear second-term agenda, because it'll piss so many people off that they want to wait till there's no voting to worry about. It'll be blamed on him for anything that's seen as negative about it, but they'll get votes across the aisle, because don't forget, the North American Union is forged out of the Council on Foreign Relations. It's not forged out of the Republican wing or the Democrat wing. Oh, you've got some very shady allies on all sides of the fence, and they're working behind the scenes to bring in that cheap labor and streamline what they tell us is free trade, but what is really a trade block. Kind of the opposite. Jeb Bush, who many people think could run in 2016 or 2020, or his son will run for president one day, George P. Bush, P for Prescott. He's running in Texas now as Hispanic Bush. He's written Immigration Wars, Forging an American Solution, so he will have his counter-proposal to Obama. In substance, they'll probably be very similar, but there'll be certain differences that they iron out and make big deals about on Fox News and the other channels. But deep down, they're all looking for amnesty for, like you said, the cheap labor reason. And Jeb Bush was also an architect on the North American Union documents. I mean, it's what a horrible deception. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know what? What's really effed up is if you think about it, when they want cheap labor, right? That's their push for cheap labor. Look at that part alone. What they're still thinking in their mind that these people, once they give them citizenship, that they're still looking at them as they're not human. The only reason why they want them is because they're like, oh, well, we'll just give them, we can still pay them cheap, but now they can stay here in the country legally. Well, wait a minute. What happens when they go, okay, I'm a citizen of your country, and I demand you treat me equally and like a normal human being, so I want a raise. Then what? Then what, are you going to fire them and try to replace them with something even cheaper than them? Oh, robots. I mean,
they'll do it.
Well, that's happening anyway.
Well, that's what I see. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, the immigrants are just being used as a way to push an agenda. It's not anything to help them. What the powers that shouldn't be do is they go out and they search. First of all, they divide us up by groups, and then they take each individual group, find the hot button issue, and exploit the living crap out of it until they're done with that group, and then it's on to the next one.
And that's backed up. Just the other day, we were watching Food Inc. to review some of the food politics, and they were talking about how some of the major meat processing plants, Tyson's one of them, there's other, had been exploiting for years low-income minority groups, black workers in the factories. But once they got chewed up and spit out and wanted raises and benefits because it was detrimental to their health to work there, they had to be 1 to 2 hours from where they lived to work in these plants. Well, they started rolling in illegal immigrants. And when they did some of those show raids on illegal immigrants, they would even sometimes bust inside those plants, but they would only kick out a few individuals, never hold the companies accountable. And, yeah, you're right. When they're done with them and can't exploit them anymore, they'll bring in the robot labor force. Or someone else, maybe. Maybe it'll be Pacific people or Chinese people.
I just think it's interesting in this country that you don't have to show an ID to vote, but you have to show an ID to do like 50 other things.
Well, and as a veteran, you have to. I mean, as a normal citizen, you guys are awake. But as a veteran, I understand, and anybody that is a student of the Revolutionary War, but a veteran, I understand because I served and men and women who died, fighting for certain beliefs and certain rights. You see this stuff going on today, and it's like, it's the exact antithesis, like 180 degrees in the opposite direction of what the founders and what the people, the farmers that got up, when people say the founders, they often, I'm not just talking about Benjamin Franklin or Washington or Jefferson or Adams or those guys, or Alexander Hamilton. I'm talking about the farmers who aren't named, whose names you do not know. John Smith, who got up, put down his pitchfork, his musket, and said, I'm going to go kick some British ass because I'm tired of this crap. Okay? Those people died to give the future generations of this country a chance. And now we are sitting back. Our future generations are turned into a bunch of brain-dead zombies. It's just... It's so frustrating when you understand. When I hear people go, like I posted a comment the other day. How on Facebook sometimes I post comments or a status update to kind of try to just cause conversation amongst people. Well, I did it on the on the Katy Perry performance from the Grammys, right? And I posted the stat that I had posted about it being, how it was a ritual and everything. Well, I posted that on different versions of the performance all over YouTube, and just. The people were like, so who cares? Who cares if it's a ritual like that? Who cares? It's freedom of her religion. And I was like, it's not about her religion. Do you not understand? They're normalizing what they believe in. Well, I don't believe it. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. I mean, how arrogant. Well, I don't believe it doesn't have any effect on me. Really? What, have you been watching the movie The Secret? Just, doesn't it frustrate you guys?
Yeah, and I know we've covered it. I will not forget that Madonna said her performance at the Super Bowl, which everyone pointed out was a cultic ritual with Babylonian and satanic stuff. She said it was like going to church, and that it was a sermon.
She was going to deliver a sermon. Oh yeah, no, I got completely attacked for even bringing that topic to the front and talking about that at all. I was told that what do I expect women to just wear burqas? I mean, all kinds of stuff. And my favorite comment, I think, a lot of times our stuff will get reposted on activist posts. Do you care if I read you a comment? Because this is my favorite comment in response to
Go right ahead.
The video that we did. This says, you are effing kidding me, right? Every single teenager in the U.S., UK, France, Spain, Germany, or any civilized first world country, that was all in caps, supports and has created this style. There is no satanic means behind any of it. It is just what the general public has come to like. While some other things are quite crazy, most of it is made to please the public and people enjoy it. Please get out of the Middle Ages with your witchcraft and come into the 21st century. Girls now only cover half their bodies with clothes. Get over it. Styles change. It does not mean it is the damn devil. You must be crazy if you think this is satanic. No one cares anymore about how appropriate things are. As time goes on, things get more and more inappropriate. At first, 16, 17, and 8-year-olds wore leggings. Now 13 and 14-year-olds wear them. Get over yourself. Thanks. Have a nice day. I think my favorite part of that was, it does not mean it's the devil. You must be crazy if you think this is satanic. While Katy Perry is singing in front of Baphomets. They're all over the stage.
Melissa, don't you understand? That's all created by kids.
Yes, I'm sure they were born and just had that thought.
But do you see how stupid these people are? They're so ignorant. They're so ignorant. I mean, the information is out there. Look, I did the same thing, and I've had the same results on YouTube, and I didn't expect much difference. But what I wanted to do was create conversation, and it did work because there's other people now being drawn in. On one of the videos of her performance, the last time I checked, and this was yesterday, I had over 500,000 hits. My comment was the top comment, and it had like 86 likes already on it. And there was, 40 some odd comments where people were attacking me, but instead of me going at it, like I replied to a few things, but I don't reply emotionally. I just reply very, very cool and logically, with no emotion at all. One guy got pissed at me, and I hate him because the response was, you're a jerk off or something like that, or another one was, I'm selling tinfoil hats. Where do you sell them? Can I get one from you? Stupid crap like that. And one guy, the one that went off on me, I told him, I said, he told me to shut my mouth. I said, well, look, internet tough guy, I know, you feel like you can tell me to shut up. You're the internet bully now. I said, but I know, pretty much I know the information is, and I'm paraphrasing, you can go look at the comment. But I was like, I understand that this upsets you. And, it's just cause that it upsets you, but, it's real. The Young Turks, I don't know if you guys know who they are. They have a YouTube channel. Cenk used to be on MSNBC. They're useless. They push the left-right paradigm. I go off on them all the time. Anyway, they did a video about the Grammys. Did not mention once the weird, and didn't even say that the performances were weird. Didn't even mention it. So the comment that spurred all of this was, wow, not one mention of the blatant witchcraft or satanic ritual, something like that, during the ceremony. Nothing. And that's all I put was, wow, no mention of that, like, wow, you guys didn't even, mention it or whatever. Long story short, I got attacked by the Young Turks viewership. Obviously, they're very left-leaning, and I'm doing that saying air quotes because I don't buy into that paradigm, as most people shouldn't, but they push it all the time. Everything is always Republicans. Democrats are good. Republicans bad. Conservatives are bad. If you ever watch any of their videos on YouTube for 5 minutes, you can see that they toe the party line. I mean, it's ridiculous. Even one of the hosts, Cenk, even admits that when he was at MSNBC, they told him not to report on Fukushima. Well, he's not at MSNBC anymore, and I don't see them reporting on Fukushima still. So they must have, they must have a backer somewhere. It's the people that, and they have like over 1 million subscribers to their YouTube channel, and those are the people that they upload a video and their stupidity gets 15,000 hits in a day and a half, and you try to tell somebody, like your video. You'll upload your video. The counter will stop at 305, and all of the comments will be filled with ignorance. It'll just be, you're living in what are you living in the medieval times? Look,
oh yeah, well, I got yelled at because I pointed out the fact that I thought Jay-Z and Beyonce was dressed like a skank. I'm sorry, she looked totally skanky. The dance she did was skanky, and that's my opinion. I said it, and right there I'm also like, so to be a real man and to be a husband, you have to want your wife to dress like she's a nun or something, It's like you're going to one extreme to the other extreme here.
No, if you're no, well, that's what they do. They don't have valid arguments. This is what I was pointing out to this one dude. I said, you don't have a valid argument. Long story short, and look, there are trolls, but a lot of these people are real people, especially now that they merged Google Plus and YouTube. You can see if you could see if even before engaging if someone is somewhat real or if it looks like a shill account, like if you know what to look for. And a lot of these people are real, and these are the attitudes that do prevail a lot of times. Most of the comments on a lot of the videos pointing out that it was satanic, or on the videos themselves, if someone made a comment like I did, it's the same thing. It's oh, you're an idiot. That's fairy tales. That's not real. I was told, oh, it's just a marketing gimmick, dude. They do that because people buy into it, and people, the kids, the younger crowd thinks it's cool. And I'm like, okay, so.
I was told that no witches believe in Satan.
Oh, well, I've been told that. I was told that I don't know what I'm talking about. Witches are, you see, that's just another superstition. You guys think that
because you got all of your information from American Horror Story Coven, the TV show. Okay, so you know everything now.
Well, like people are so stupid. First of all, I'm not attacking the Wiccan religion. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm talking about people that, like, I've had Christopher Everard on. Remember the audio I played during that 16-hour broadcast we did, right? I played that piece of audio from that.
With the Anunnaki?
Yeah, where the Satanists were invoking Set and Tiamat, and while they were doing that, they were also praying to Lord Enki. Enki and Enlil are members of the Anunnaki. If you don't know who the Anunnaki are, ladies and gentlemen, go start reading the Sumerian text or the translations thereof, okay? They are praying to otherworldly beings, aliens, whatever, interdimensional travelers, whatever you want to call them.
If you don't know what the Anunnaki are, go watch the Katy Perry video E.T.
Oh, there you go. And people say, "Oh, it's just done for marketing." No, it's not. The reason they're doing this stuff, okay, and it's so out in your face now, even compared to 5 years ago. 5 years ago, if they'd done this, it would have been looked at much differently. The reason it's not is because it's frogs in the pot. See, if you notice, every year they amp it up just a little bit, just a notch. So next year or the next performance, like I said. This happened. This whole thing, the Grammy performance, takes place during a holiday, a 1 week period, holiday period, in Satanism anyway. That is a preparatory week period up to Candlemas, which just so happens to be February 2nd, which also just so happens to be the date of the Super Bowl. So here's my prediction: we're going to see some really interesting stuff at the halftime show. Okay.
And if you look back over the past 10 years or so, I think a relevant question would be, because I remember they brought on MTV producers and announced they were going to start handling the Super Bowl halftime shows, and that was where you saw that sharp downward slide. So who is that team? Who picked them? Who authorized them to be so influential in the culture when they're obviously bringing out all these occultic, satanic, dark, symbolic themes? Ever since they brought out Britney Spears and NSYNC with Aerosmith at the Super Bowl, and then had Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson showing her breasts, and then Britney and Madonna and Christina doing their
making out
weird making out wedding ritual thing. There's been a lot of this stuff, and it's not that it didn't exist before that, but somebody really passed that team, whoever they are, the torch, and they brought us to where we are today, to where Katy Perry is doing these rituals openly on stage. And for anyone with eyes to see, there's something going on. But for everyone else, how dare you talk bad about their favorite new pop celebrity?
I mean, you don't have to believe in it. These people who are orchestrating this obviously do. And if you go back into history and look several hundred years ago and find the same thing going on, and they're mimicking it on stage with Baphomet heads, flame. She's dry humping a broom that's on fire. I mean, she's casting a spell to bring this giant horse thing, which looks surprisingly like the horse outside of the Denver airport.
Thank you.
I mean, hello. I mean, are these all just coincidences, or that's all just a show?
It's a coincidence.
I mean, come on.
Melissa, it's a coincidence. Stop it. Okay, you guys are just reading way too many. I mean, look, the Baphomet heads, the same horse with the fiery red eyes that's at the Denver International Airports. I mean, it's just a coincidence. And look, it's a marketing scheme. In fact, the teenagers, these teenagers are what got Denver International Airport to put that up in that big statue of Anubis.
They did back in 1994 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
These goth
So
kids,
it's all
these
just-
crazy goth kids. Oh, they
those
want
crazy
everything.
I mean, at what point will it be too much for these people to finally go, oh, you know what? That is a little bit not right. Maybe they shouldn't be doing that on stage at a nationally televised thing on a regular
TV. That's why they do this 5 years ago. That's why they're doing it now. They've had to slowly crank it up because you see how the attitude. You can see it in the comments by when people said, so what if she did a ritual? If she wants to worship, she can worship whoever she wants to worship. That's the beauty of this country. And it's like, you don't get it. They are normalizing it. They're normalizing it not only for the older generations, but that's only like a quarter of their target audience.
What about the 8-year-old who's watching it at home?
Bingo. That's their target audience.
I mean, we were reading a quote from Bertrand Russell earlier about science and society where he talks about how you got to get the indoctrination in there before the age of 10.
Yep.
To make it real effective.
He talked about vaccines and food and indoctrination to change the way society actually thinks. And that's what they're doing.
And he also talks about how it needs to be set to music. We could read that quote when we come back.
Yeah. I'll let you read it because you have a more pleasant voice than Aaron and myself. So I'm sure the listeners would rather hear you read the quote. So break sneaking up. Ladies and gentlemen, do not go anywhere. We're going to get back more on mind control, food, and wherever the path leads us. With Aaron Dykes and Melisa Melton from Truthstream Media. Two of my favorite people on the planet. Stay tuned.
Aw, you too.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Hanging out with Aaron Dykes, Melisa Melton, Truthstream Media. Guys, shamelessly plug everything really quick. Your YouTube channels, Twitter.
Buy our stuff. Buy our stuff. We got things. T-shirts.
Actually, that's funny because we put up we were just joking around the other night, and he put up a fake commercial for our T-shirt store that we never tell anyone exists on Redbubble, and people were just immediately like, "See, this proves it. They're shills. They're totally shills. They're trying to say," and it's like our 190th video that we've ever put out that we finally even mentioned we had a T-shirt store, and now it proves we're shills. See, that proves it. They did 189 videos just to sneak their T-shirt store in, which we make a whole $1 off every shirt we sell. And he was only showing it in a video to show that, like, I did some art that he's
You're
proud of.
satanic.
So we're obviously just trying to sell people stuff.
You're part of the Illuminati, and you're a sellout.
It was the longest plan we ever had, where we would make 189 other videos over a 9-month period just to sneak our T-shirt store in there. But yeah, so we're youtube.com/TruthstreamMedia. We're at TruthstreamMedia.com. It's Truthstream News on Twitter because we couldn't fit it all in. And then Truthstream Media on Facebook, Google+, and I don't know, everything there is. Just search for Truthstream Media. You'll find us somewhere.
I'm not
hopefully.
even familiar with half of those things.
I don't even know what all we're doing. I mean, we're out there somewhere. But, by the way, just so you know, if you think dancing and singing is a satanic ritual, then you're mistaken. That's what this guy told me, so. We sound like conspiracy theorists also.
No, instantaneous. I was told that instantaneously I must be you damn Christians. You know, that's the problem with that. Like, first of all, I didn't say what religion I was to you, did I? I never professed any religion to you. I never once said you should, God, Jesus. I never said that at all. Never mentioned the words God, Jesus, Bible, or anything like that. Never said anything like that. I just point out, well, if you think witchcraft, automatically you must be one of those Bible thumping. Oh, because that's the way the media has portrayed it in the movies, TV shows, that anybody that points out witchcraft automatically must be the crazy right-wing Bible thumping people up the street that don't let their kids watch TV, right? Remember all the 80s movies that were like that? And they beat their kids, and they probably sexually abused them too, those goddamn wacky Christians. I never said anything. I wasn't coming from a religious standpoint. Anybody that knows me and listens to the show knows how I feel about religion and my thoughts on what the Native Americans call the Great Mystery. That's what I've been ever since I came across that, and I knew that years ago, and I had forgotten about it. And recently, I came across a clip of Russell Means talking about it, and I was like, "Oh, perfect!" So I've gone back to using that again. That's the perfect explanation for whatever the energy really is, right? But automatically, if you point out this evil stuff, you're a Bible-thumping moron who can't be taken seriously. They have to put you in that label, in that box, so you're automatically put into the category. That way, at least 50% of the population doesn't want to talk to you because I don't believe in God, or I'm not a Republican, I'm a Democrat, so I'm not a Christian, or whatever the hell, whatever retarded thinking. And it's got nothing to do with it. You don't even have to look. I've had atheists tell me, well, I don't believe in God or the devil. Those are fairy tales. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't believe in it. The people that are controlling a good portion of your life and want to control all of it believe in it. So, I mean, it doesn't matter if you believe in God, if you don't believe in God, if you believe in unicorns that fart rainbows. It does not matter. It doesn't matter if you think aliens created us. They have their own set of beliefs. And however creepy and weird it may sound to you, okay, it's the truth. People were getting mad at me because they're like, "Oh, you think they just do weird satanic rituals? It's all stupid hearsay." And it's like, what happens when you've interviewed somebody that investigated this stuff and deprogrammed cult members and literally witnessed ceremonies being stopped and things like that? Then what do you do about that? Oh, well, they're making it up to sell a book, but they're not selling a book. Well, they're just making it up to get on your radio show. Why would they make it up to get on my radio show? Like, who the F is tuning in? It's not me. I know we have a decent amount of listenership, but I'm a realist here. I don't think I have millions of people tuning in at this very moment, right? Come on. I don't pay people to come on. I don't have a huge sponsorship. You know what I mean? But people don't think like that. People are so cynical because there has been a lot of, things that do get, whatever you want to call them, scandals that get out, and people know that they can't trust everybody. But people have been, the mindset has been, you can't trust your neighbor, you can't trust anybody else out there, and it's been pushed so much that now everybody is suspect, no matter what.
Sure. Well, and for this guy to say, if you think singing and dancing is a satanic ritual, you're mistaken. It's like, no, I think Baphomet is satanic. Why? Because the sigil of Baphomet is the official insignium of the Church of Satan. Okay? And that's who she was singing and dancing in front of on stage. Freaking Baphomet. Go back and watch the video. They're standing right behind the flames they're shooting up off the stage right before she gets, burned at a broom or something? I mean, that's what I'm talking about. How can people, argue all day. It's just singing and dancing. It's whatever. These people, it means a lot more. There's another question that got raised. Why do you think it was 33 weddings with the mass gay wedding or whatever it was that happened? Why was it 33 and not any other number? But exactly. If you bring that up, that's just crazy. That's a conspiracy theory. But it wasn't 32. It wasn't 34. It was 33. Like the degrees of Freemasonry. Oops, what? No, that's crazy. Why would I even bring that up?
Well, that's what catches my eye is why are we dealing with the calling cards of secret societies here? They throw out the term Illuminati a lot with the stuff Jay-Z or Beyonce are talking about. But what a lot of people don't realize is that's what's going on. If the whole world was satanic and satanic, had the edge taken off of it, and it was just like, rolling, it was just like the Christian world or something. Or if the whole world was Christian and they were doing Christian rituals that were done in secret societies, wouldn't you still want to know why the secret power structure is showing you these symbols that the average person doesn't understand, doesn't know what's going on? Doesn't that maybe mean something? The Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati, which originated back in 1776, was continuing along an ancient tradition of occultic symbolism and occultic agendas and, various degrees of trying to rule the world. And they used, at the time, reading societies. They would literally shake down publishers to try to get controversial and subversive literature published so that it could influence entire continents. That's when, literacy reigned supreme. The printing press was literally revolutionary. Today we have television, we have computers, we have award shows, and we have pop music. That's where they're going to infiltrate with their messages.
Well, and then if you look at, for example, Beyonce at the Super Bowl last year, which we talked about, and you slow that stuff down, it's very creepy stuff where it's like at one moment she looks normal, and then the next minute it's like her eyes are black, and she looks like her throat has been filled up with something. All the veins are sticking out, and all of her dance start putting their hands above their heads in a pyramid, and she starts yelling at the crowd, lift your hands up, I want to feel your energy. And it's like, people even took pictures of her. They said she suddenly looked really manly and creepy. I mean, there's some questions there, because she's gone on record to say that she feels something go into her when she's on stage, and she doesn't remember anything anymore, and something else takes over her. And I'm sorry, I know I've seen a lot of scary movies, but that looks just like a scary movie to me when I watch it. Okay? So, I mean, I'm just putting that out there. Make me a crazy conspiracy theorist? If so, fine. That's just an observation. It gives me the freaking creeps.
But, well, that's why they've conditioned the younger generations when they tell them, oh, your parents don't know anything. Their generation is, you don't pay attention to anything they say because, they're old-fashioned or whatever. That's why when you go, well, she's doing this. Oh, well, who cares? I don't believe in it, so it doesn't have any effect on me. Well, actually, it does have an effect on you, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not, okay? Just like you don't have to believe in the laws of gravity. It exists because you don't float off into into space, moron. You don't have to believe that oxygen really exists because technically you can't see it. I can't see the air around me. I can feel it maybe when the wind blows, but I can't see it physically. I can't really see the air. So I don't have to believe in it, I guess, but I breathe it. My dog breathes it. You guys breathe it. The trees and the plants breathe it. All the other living animals on this planet breathe it. I can't see it. I could choose not to believe it because I can't see it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Well, it reminds me a lot of, we did a video a couple weeks back, or maybe it was even, I don't know, time is relative, and it was all about the My Magic Plus program they have at the Disney World, where they're going to have people wear the RFID bracelets. Right now it's optional, but eventually it won't be, just like fingerprints, eventually won't be. But it's an RFID tracker bracelet that you wear throughout your trip to Disneyland. And they're going to do a thing where the characters that dress up like Mickey, the people that walk around dressed up like Mickey in the park, will be able to use the data from the RFID bracelet to know your children by name, so they can walk up and be like, hey, little Timmy, what are you doing? That's creepy to me. And I did a video about that, and I got all kinds of attacked because people just love Disney. If you say anything bad about Disney, you are just a horrible, horrible person. How dare you? Disney is the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to the childhood, right? But the new video that I put up, no one said anything, and it's about a Disney Junior cartoon that has a little flying drone ladybug, mechanized ladybug, with a little camera that pops out and shoots a video up to a satellite that shoots it to a headquarters that analyzes it anytime, like a little kid. The one that we saw, the example we saw from 21st Century Wire, was a little kid left in a car parked in a driveway without her seatbelt on. So the little ladybug took video and shot it, and there's a whole song about it. And it's really creepy. And I said, even people who hate us for reporting on Disney can't deny that this is some police state Orwellian indoctrination. You just can't even deny it. And no one really has. I've yet to, I guess someone probably will, now that I've said that. But no one's denied it, so they can't even deny it. Like, it's so in your face. And that's the point with this, Grammys. This stuff is so in your face now. What was the one they had last year, or was it the year before, where, what's that chick's name? But she got up on stage and she had an exorcism performed on stage, and she was levitating.
Was it Lady Gaga?
It wasn't Lady Gaga. It was
that lady with the Roman name or whatever.
Yeah, Roman is her alter character that was possessed.
These people have alter egos and stage names.
Nicki Minaj. It was Nicki Minaj.
Well, you see, people don't understand. Like I said this when I was talking about this the other night. I don't get mad at them. Like, people are like, well, you have to blame Katy Perry. You know what? I really don't. I can't blame Katy Perry or Britney Spears or any of them, Lady Gaga. You know why? Because on a junior level, on a junior varsity level, I might, if I didn't understand what was going on. But because I've delved into the disgusting rabbit hole that is mind control and sex control slaves and what they call the freedom train and Kathy O'Brien and all that. If you understand what these people go through, Bryce Taylor, go read Thanks for the Memories by Bryce Taylor, and the other book by Kathy O'Brien, The Transformation of America, and then read Fritz Springmeier's books too. I think it's a long title. It's something like How to Make an Undetectable Mind Control Slave, something like that. Fritz has talked about it when I've had him on before. You'll see what these girls, and I'm sure even the men go, well, I know the guys go through it too, but they use the females more because sex sells. And it's easier to sell a hot woman to both men and women than it is a hot guy to both men and women. It's easier to sell that sexy feminine figure, and they do. And these women, they literally, Aaron, like you said, they have multiple personalities. People have to understand. Look, if we're going to get through any of this, in order to get through the shinfo, what I call shitty information, you can't look into mind control for 5 minutes and go, when you see this stuff, go, MK Ultra, and then when people go, okay, explain it to me, you don't really have any real, cohesive argument or logical, rational statement to make.
But you also don't have a basis to allow you to understand what you're talking about because people haven't done the background research.
Bingo. But
even on the surface levels, you have to realize these artists are not choreographing all of the stuff that they're doing, particularly in the high-profile Super Bowl and music award show stuff. There's a common program of that stuff, of bringing in these dark themes and pushing it on these artists. And we've seen tweets from some of these artists talking about how they made me say these lyrics, they made me do this stuff in the music video. Frankly, these artists are being peddled. They're not making all their own decisions up there.
Yeah,
so that's just on the surface level.
If you look at Katy Perry from a year ago and look at her today, she looks like she's been through hell.
Dude, case in point, look at Miley Cyrus. Again, when she did the Damn TV Music Video Awards, we talked about this. Remember she had that little rat mouse suit on, whatever? When she came out, she was stroking her hair like she used to when she had long blonde hair when she was Hannah Montana. Okay, right before that, she came out. You can go look this up. She came out and said, "I killed Hannah Montana. She's gone. She's dead." Okay, now if you understand that Hannah wasn't a fictional Disney character, Hannah was actually one of her identities. It was a compartmentalized identity. When they say they killed Hannah, they killed her. They destroyed that identity. That identity no longer resides inside of her head. I'm sure there's probably fractured segments and shards of it floating around in there because that's what happens. Okay? But that was an actual personality. Multiple personalities. People go, well, that's no, because they see on TV. Well, that's normal. No. Let's get something straight. They're removing certain words from the total definition of it. It's not normal. It is a normal response to a traumatic event for your brain to compartmentalize. Okay? What they do is they push you beyond that, even beyond that threshold, to the point where your whole psyche shatters, and it compartmentalizes that trauma into one personality. So that personality has only that personality has dealt with that trauma, and usually that personality is buried deep. And then other personalities, one or more, may arise in order to protect and never allow that personality to be hurt again or allow that to come out. And some of these personalities will be a complete different personality change where the person could go from someone that's loving to someone that's, a stone cold killer. And in certain instances, they've been trained as assassins. People say, "Oh, this is crazy, Popeye." This is not crazy. They've been doing this.
Miley Cyrus, the assassin.
MK Ultra. MK Ultra. Just people need to go look up MK Ultra. They need to go look up the ties that MK Ultra has to Disney and all these Disney
music industry
stars that are constantly having these crazy, weird meltdowns that everyone's like, "Oh, it must be the drugs." Really? How come you don't see just normal other people on supposed normal drugs? Doing that. You don't see those kind of weird-ass meltdowns. This is the kind of thing you see, these crazy, ridiculous things happen to these people.
Isn't there a whole other hallway with the super soldiers, trained assassins you're talking about, where they're put on a particular class of hallucinogens and really coaxed into that alternate personality to fine-tune the kind of instruct. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. Well, dude, they use drugs and alcohol and all that because it's a method of control. It knocks down barriers, it loosens inhibitions, it makes programming them much easier. The only drug, and this is not only from Kathy O'Brien, I've heard this from other people as well, but Kathy O'Brien's book pointed this out, and that's what I say, go read her book, Transformation of America, as well as Bryce Taylor's book, Thanks for the Memories. You can get them both. I have books. You can rip them off from the ebook section. I suggest you buy the physical copy, but if you want to read the ebook to start, go to the download section on federaljack.com and look for the ebook icon. Click on it, and it'll open up the ebook downloadable page, and it's in there. Thanks for the memories and Transformation of America. And they all say the same thing, that they go through this. You know, they use chemicals, but the one thing that Kathy O'Brien said was the one drug they weren't allowed to have was cannabis. It was the only thing they weren't allowed to have.
I've heard that.
And it's because it doesn't have mind control effects. It actually has quite the opposite. It stimulates free and open thought, and it actually helps the immune system, and it causes the body to start repairing itself, and it helps the body heal. And when you're being traumatized, they do not want that.
Well, even LSD didn't go how they want, but prescription medications might be a different story.
Well, and I guess the bigger to pull back a little bit from that, the bigger issue here is this is all social engineering. I mean, that's what's going on here. That's what's going on with putting that on regular television for, because no little kid, like I said, no little kids who aspire to be singers someday and have no idea about all that stuff watch the Grammy. That never happens, right? I mean, this isn't on like some Showtime at midnight on a Saturday. This is on CBS on a regular evening.
But see, they're not. People don't take into account. They're not looking at the bigger picture. Again, they're very myopic. They're right up against the wall, looking at the painting rather than 20 feet back. They're not thinking that when we were kids. I mean, they had music stars and stuff, but when we were kids, the heroes of the day were still firemen and astronauts and stuff like that, right? Military men, stuff like that. Exactly. Nowadays, the heroes of the day are actors, sports players, and these music stars. So when the kids who are being told to look up to these people as idols, they're so awesome, they're on TV and in their faces who you should look up to, and then the people they look up to are performing satanic rituals, it doesn't take a frigging rocket scientist to put two and two together. Unless, of course, you've been brushing up on your communist core, and then you think 2 + 2 = 5.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the whole point. They want you to say it's just singing and dancing. They want it to just be okay with you. And if that's okay with you, then what they do next year might be okay with you too, which might be even more ridiculous and horrible. I mean, that's the whole point. It's the ratcheting up of what is accepted.
I'm going to tell you right now, I'm willing to predict that the next MTV Music Awards, not the halftime at the Super Bowl would be interesting in and of itself. I have no idea. I'm sure it'll be something Illuminati type symbolism, whatnot, but or cultic symbolism, I should say, whatever. But I'm forecasting for the next MTV Video Music Awards and the next Grammys, music, because music is a big thing that they use to push mind control with. If you think it was crazy with Miley Cyrus and Katy Perry, just wait. Next year, it's going to be even crazier, and people are going to look back at what happened here at like it's tame. Just like they'll look back at the stuff that happened 3 or 4 years ago at the time that we thought was, wow, are blatantly doing symbolism, right? And people go, oh, you're just crazy. You're looking way into it, you crazy nutbag conspirators.
I predict the next Super Bowl will be weird. But, it's all
I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction for the year after this one and then the next year after that.
Sure, go right ahead.
Baphomets. I'm going to go with Baphomets since that seems to be the thing they like to put all over everything.
Who's performing this year? What's the name of the guy?
Who is performing this year?
It's Bruno Mars, isn't it?
Oh, Bruno Mars.
And isn't Mars the god of war?
Uh-huh.
And there was something else I saw on it that's connected to it, too.
If the messages of this music and whatever else flies over people's rational thinking, all the better, because it goes right into their subconscious. But people still won't believe this, but they've been talking about this for sure for many, many years. And we've got this quote here. It's perfect for what we're talking about.
I don't know. Do we have time to read a quote real quick?
Go ahead, read it. Oh, that's right. I wanted you to read that quote. Go ahead. Okay, I'll shut up.
This is Bertrand Russell. This is from The Impact of Science on Society.
1952.
He says, I think the subject which will be of most importance politically is mass psychology. Its importance has been enormously increased by the growth of modern methods of propaganda. Of these, the most influential is what is called education. Religion plays a part, though a diminishing one. The press, the cinema, and the radio play an increasing part. It may be hoped that in time anybody will be able to persuade anybody of anything if he can catch the patient young and is provided by the state with money and equipment. The subject will make great strides when it is taken up by scientists under a scientific dictatorship. The social psychologists of the future will have a number of classes of school children, and they will try different methods of producing an unshakable conviction that snow is black. Various results will soon be arrived at. First, that the influence of home is obstructive. Second, that not much can be done unless indoctrination begins before the age of 10. Third, that verses set to music and repeatedly intoned are very effective. Fourth, that the opinion that snow is white must be held to show a morbid taste for eccentricity. But I anticipate it is for future scientists to make these maxims precise and discover exactly how much it costs per head to make children believe that snow is black and how much less it would cost to make them believe it is dark gray. So that was 1952.
And this is a guy who was in the Royal Society of Science. This is a guy who was a Fabian socialist, one of the key members of the London School of Economics, very influential, one of these guys who is regarded as the genius of his time. No one other than Einstein could be smarter than Bertrand Russell. What he says should be accepted. And I'm reading this off an article on ukcolumn.org, and they make a great point that they introduce through the beginning of the book that this guy is a very dull but delightful mind, and what he says seems reasonable and humanitarian, and after a while they soften up the reader for what end up being disgusting conclusions presented as desirable or, worse, inevitable. And it's about this emerging world government system, very new world order, the falling influence of religion, the falling influence of the family, how they're going to use forms of mind control
through the cinema,
education,
through radio,
yeah,
which is what they had at the time. What do they have now? Television. You know, music videos, MTV. That's what they got, and that's what they're using, and it's pretty obvious. And I wish
that Socrates or one of them said listening to the wrong type of music can make you the wrong type of person. I'm not kidding.
Oh, it's such a good quote.
It's either Socrates or Plato. It was one of the two. You can go look this up. But he said he's got a quote that listening to the wrong type of music will literally make you the wrong type of person. So if they knew this, thousands of years ago, yeah. If they knew this hundreds, thousands of years ago, what do you think? You don't think they know this now? Oh, no, that's old school, Popeye. Oh, because things that happened 2,000 years ago, they don't mean anything today. Because, things that you learned in your past 20 years ago, you don't learn from, right? Oh, wait a minute, you do. Oh, well, maybe we should pay attention to past history then. I don't know. I guess you can color me a historian because I care about what happens in the past. What you learn from it.
Who said the more things change, the more they stay the same? It's the same old archetypes,
Bam.
It's always forms of good versus evil.
I'm going to cut us off right there, Aaron. I want to pick this up on the other side of the break, but he's 100% correct, ladies and gentlemen. And it's just called over and over again, used to control us. Unplug. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. 3 short minutes. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with our number 2. Tonight's live edition of Down the Rabbit Hole. January 30th. Where the hell, by the way, did the first month of the year go? Holy crap. I had surgery 5 days before Christmas, and it's been this Friday. It'll be 6 weeks already. Just seems like it went by so fast. Anyway, hanging out with me for hour number 2, as well as hour number 1. If you didn't hear it, go back in the archives and listen. My good friends, Melisa Melton, Aaron Dykes, Truthstream Media. I suggest you check their stuff out. 2 all-around awesome human beings. Hey, guys.
Thank you. We think that about you, too.
You guys are absolutely 2 of my closest friends. I love hanging out and chatting with you guys. So,
well, I feel that way about you, too.
Thanks, man.
We have some very interesting conversations off air. So we try to bring as much of we can on air, but so Aaron, in hour 1 we got cut off because we were deep, and we got a little bit cut off, and you were in the middle of making a point, and I had to cut you off. So if you can remember where we were,
yeah, sure. I mean, we were talking about all this mind control stuff, how they use our entertainment, how they use press, how the Illuminati used the printing press and shook down publishers to infiltrate, books and stuff of the day with their messages and to get controversial stuff printed. Today they do the same thing with music. And we're talking about Bertrand Russell and the impact of technology on society, the impact of science on society. And basically, technology is neutral in its most basic form, but it's also revolutionary. And depending on whose hands it is in, it could change things quite a bit. But at the same time, the more things change, the more they stay the same. With the case of technology, that's because it's being cultivated and developed along with the science by the same people who've been in control for many hundreds, if not thousands of years. The Rockefellers, for instance, have funded many of the major, if not most of the major developments in genetics. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Even as we discover the infinitesimal, tiny things that happen inside our body and inside our world, a lot of the power dynamics remain true. A lot of the archetypes remain true. A lot of the same old adages end up being true. Bad advice will yield bad results, right? The more things change, the more they stay the same. Attributed to the French author Jean-Baptiste Alphonse Carr. But apparently it also comes out of a proverb making the observation that turbulent changes do not affect reality on a deeper level other than to cement the status quo. And I think that's what I'm really talking about, that turbulent changes, technology, scientific discoveries don't affect reality on a deeper level other than to cement the status quo. What do you think about that?
I think it's 110% what you see going on right now. People don't understand. I guess when they hear you and I talk, or you, me, Melissa talk, and other people, wow, you guys are really deep. It's not really being deep. I mean, I guess it is, but it's really not. It's just having free and open thought and listening to things that have been said by them, things that have been said by other people, and then looking at, taking a step back, like plugging from the game, like stepping away from the Monopoly board for a minute and standing back and looking at it from an outsider's perspective almost, you know what I mean? Like you can't be, I know, one of the biggest problems with people even understanding or grasping what's going on is they're so myopic. They walk right up on the wall and they look right up at the wall. You know what I mean? And they can only see this little one small part, and that's because that's where their head is forced to focus on. If they stood back 20, 30 feet, they'd see the grander picture. They'd understand how everything works. If you just look at it as a music performance and them trying to, get some attention for their record or whatever, okay, yeah, fine. But if you look at it that it's part of a bigger agenda and it's part of pushing something, and this is something I wanted to touch on in hour one and I forgot. A lot of people will say, well, what's the big deal about Satanism? Well, before I even get into that, I've had Mark Passio on about this. If you go back to 2011, it was around, I think it was October, around like the 28th, somewhere around now, 2011. I did a show with Mark Passio about this. And we went into detail about it. You can listen to it. Mark and I are good friends. I've been chatting with him. He's been really busy, but we're trying to figure out a good time to get him on live so we can talk about this stuff again. But we went into detail about the occult on that broadcast. It was really, really long, and it was done off air. And then I aired it. So there's in the archive of it, there's no breaks or anything. It's just me and him talking for about 2.5 hours. I think it's in the 2011 archives. It was like October of 2011, around there. Anyway, you have to have a deep understanding of something. If you look at Satanism, okay, you have to look at it like Freemasonry. It's the best way to describe it. That's the way I described it the other day to somebody that didn't understand it, because they were like, well, I know people that are, Satanists, and they love the earth, and that's all it's really about, is loving the earth and being in tune with, this and that and everything. Okay, that's the New Agey stuff. That's the stuff that Mark and I have talked about. People attack me and call me New Age because I talk, I mix my theories of, quantum physics and my understanding of the universe and stuff like that, and, how we can create our own reality and things like that. Or if I talk about love or the love frequency and stuff, Bruce Lipton, people are like, well, that's New Age. No, that's not New Age, okay? What's New Age is that stuff, okay? That's the stuff that they're pushing. That's that New Agey stuff, okay? Where, witches love the earth, and and if that's what Wiccans believe in, if that's what that's fine. I don't care. Okay, but that's not what the powers that shouldn't be believe in, and that's not the energy that was being invoked with that ceremony that Katy Perry was taking part in, okay? And it doesn't mean that I'm a Bible thumper or anything like that. You have to look at it like the Freemasons, okay? And this is what I meant by bringing them into it. Freemasons have, and Pike talked about this, the outer rings of Freemasonry and the inner rings, the outer degrees and the inner degrees. The outer 3 degrees are what they call the blue ring of Freemasonry. It's kind of like a buffer zone, okay? If they present the outside world, them doing good stuff, raising money for sick kids, things like that, right? Just being a fraternal type of organization, right? And people see only that. And most of them know only that. They don't even know what goes on behind the scenes. Because, as I've talked about before with many researchers, Freemasonry, the Illuminati, is actually a secret society inside the secret society of the Freemasons. So what better place to hide your secret society that's being outlawed than inside of an open and free secret society? Right?
That is exactly what happened with the Illuminati.
It's exactly what they did. And it's the same. People have to understand that that's the same type of thinking that they do with Satanism. They get people to think it's new agey and, oh, we love the earth. And look, if there are Wiccans out there that I'm sure listen to the show, I'm not trying to offend you guys. If that is your belief, that's fine. But they're using you like the blue rings, the outer 3 rings of Freemasonry. The insiders do not believe, oh, I love you. Oh, they might believe in loving the planet, but let me tell you something. They human sacrifice. They kill women and babies, preferably, okay? You think I'm nuts? Go look it up. They kill guys, but they really prefer women and children. If they kill a male, it's a male child, and it's usually during. You want me to get graphic? One of the things that these sick bastards do is they like to have anal sex with little boys, and at the height of their orgasm, they slit the child's throat. Do you know why? Because they believe that there's energy, Kundalini energy, that travels up the spine. And as it travels up the spine, they release it by slitting the child's throat. See, the male drawing blood is symbolic because we can't give birth. So their power of life is to take it. That's why they always have to spill blood in their ceremonies. It's absolutely disgusting. But I don't believe in it. I don't actually know if it really gives some evil entity power, but their belief in it alone, I know does, because I understand that the way you look at things and perceive things creates reality, okay? Quantum physics tells us that. I've explained that on so many levels. So if these people really believe in it and are doing these evil things, they are emanating that evil energy around us. You can feel it and you can see it. So it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. These sick pieces of shit do this. And to the people that go, well, I don't do that. I'm Wiccan or I'm this or, I'm a Satanist that believes in living the earth. Okay, look, again, you're being used as a buffer zone. So the outside world sees you guys as, what's presented. And they say, oh, that's not too bad. Okay, let them, live and let live, which is, okay, fine. If that's all that you believed in, that's well and good. But the people that are really in control and that are behind these ceremonies are not you. They don't think like you. They certainly don't act like you. And believe me, they would kill you and your children as soon as look at you and drink your blood if they could. They are evil personified. And I'm not Bible thumping. I'm not, oh my God, the rapture's coming. It's got nothing to do with that. This is from years and years of research and understanding. What do you guys say?
That's dark stuff, Popeye.
It's the truth.
No, but it's the truth.
Maybe that
it
is
the truth.
far off the deep.
Well, it is the truth, and that's why it bothers me so much when I have to hear people tell me it's just singing and dancing. It's like, you just need to go look it up. You have no idea what you're talking about. Your ignorance is astounding, and it's because of people accepting it as just singing and dancing that it's allowed to continue. If more people would just if enough people got outraged, that kind of stuff wouldn't be on television.
And if they understood that a lot of these ceremonies, that now it might be like a lot of the New Age stuff, it might be a version of an older ceremony that during that ceremony in old times they actually sacrificed people. And it was thought of as, well, that's part of the religion. And look, this stuff does have that, it has these deep, horrific roots, and it's a lot of people don't like to talk about it. It makes people really uncomfortable, like how the one ceremony I talked about, like I said, about slitting the kid's throat.
Oh, yeah.
But they do it. Okay,
That is what they do.
I don't
That
think
is what
it's
they do.
awesome. You know, I'm not. Do you think I was happy to find that out? I mean, when I
I
read
read
Kathy O'Brien's book, Melissa, I got nauseous.
Yeah,
nauseous.
no, I've read some of it, and it's really hard to take. But then on the other side of that, you also go back into the history of our military in this country, and you find out that you've got people very high up in positions in our military who are Satanists, and so then they therefore do have power and control over aspects of your life. And why are we supposed to all just be okay with that again?
No.
I mean, that's the thing.
What about Aquino?
That's who I was talking about, Michael Aquino. That's actually who I
And
was
people
referencing.
are like, who is he? Oh, no, go read Bryce Taylor's book. You'll hear his name. Go read Kathy O'Brien's book. Oh, you'll hear his name. Oh, go look up N.K. Ultra. Oh, and you'll see his name.
He's the guy who wrote Mind War. He's the father of the psyops that we see these days.
And he founded an offshoot of the Church of Satan, the Temple of Set,
Temple
if
of
I remember
Set.
correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but hey, I'm just. And by the way, as I said, that audio that I played with Aaron and Melissa, I'm gonna have to. I keep talking about this audio. I'm gonna have to find it. Chris has the piece of audio, but I have the chunk. I just have to find it in that archive of the show. But it's literally them invoking Set and Tiamat. So you have a guy in the military, Temple of Set, and then I've played this audio before, and I'll have to bring it out again, so the listeners can hear it. And you guys heard it, so you can back me up. They were invoking Set and Tiamat, and at the same time praying to Lord Enki. Hello, people. It doesn't matter what you believe. These people believe in it, so at least understand what they believe in. I'm not asking you to believe what they believe. I'm not trying to sell you a religion. I'm not trying to come to you and get you to, like a faith healer and let me grab your face and push you back and believe. It's not what I'm doing, okay? I'm just trying to get you to understand that these sick bastards believe in it. Whether you like it or not, whether it makes your skin crawl and you want to vomit. You think I like this stuff? I just have the balls to talk about it because my whole life I've always been the guy that isn't afraid to bring up the stuff that makes other people uncomfortable. But guess what? It makes me nauseous when I read Kathy O'Brien's book. When I read what her and her daughter went through, when I read what Bryce Taylor went through, it makes me physically ill. That's a good response. That's your body responding to negativity. Okay? Stop being afraid of that stuff and just embrace it. Read this stuff and, learn, understand this is real. Because if you run from it, I'm sorry, but you're being willfully ignorant. You're willfully allowing the wool to be pulled over your eyes. And to me, that's just as bad as, clapping these guys on while they rape these women or do whatever other horrific things that they do.
But it's just singing and dancing.
It's disgusting. Well, I feel bad with those women. Look, Gaga. I pointed this out to you in another broadcast we did. Lady Gaga, a couple months back, she was doing a tour, right? And she had to stop doing the tour. And she could no longer perform and everything. She had a hip injury. She had to have surgery. I looked up that injury, right? Because I was interested. I was like, joint injury. I remember Kathy O'Brien and others, Bryce Taylor, many others, saying that one of the things they did to cause trauma and to shatter their personalities was to pop their joints. Pop their bones and everything, their joints out of place and everything. And popping a hip out would be immensely painful. I'm sure that would probably cause somebody to pass out, right? So I can only imagine. And by the way, when they do this, one of the things they do is they feed them a cocktail of drugs that won't let them pass out. So that way, their mind has no other way other than to shatter than to deal with the problem. They force it to use this emergency mind shattering technique. Now I'm glad I have you guys on because I can't. It's hard to have this conversation with a lot of other people or other researchers, and it's not that anybody's stupid, but not many people have done the research or understand the modification of people's personality and the society as a whole, like on a level that the two of you do. Like you guys understand it like I do, so it's easy for me to get this information out and have a conversation about it and just talk about it like this because it's the truth. It's like if Christopher Everard was on, it would be the same way because he knows a lot of the same stuff, so he understands. You know what I mean? It's hard to have this
and that's the thing. A lot of people don't even realize what MK Ultra was, what the significance of that actually coming out was. And I mean, you can go and look back. There are documents that were released from 1955 listing off the kind of stuff you're talking about right now. Those are government documents that exist. So it's not like something that you're just making up because you're a crazy conspiracy theorist wearing a tinfoil hat. That's an actual government document. It's there. It exists. I mean, freaking Wikipedia is talking about it. It's not, I mean, these aren't just some ambiguous concepts that you drug out of your, crazy conspiracy theory brain. I mean, that's the thing. And so I guess it's just how vehemently people defend things that they can't, like, it's as if it's so big, it's so hard for them to even try to understand, so they just will reject it and just vehemently defend this vision of basically the fake matrix we're all living in.
And we know why people won't take the red pill and go down and see what the Matrix is about. And we know why people don't want to embrace these topics, because sometimes they'll give you nightmares. I know it has to me, and it's an uncomfortable area, frankly. But do we even know where our ideas are coming from? You mentioned the other people, Wiccans and stuff, who say, you don't understand Satanism. It's more happy and friendly than that. I know because I'm a Wiccan, right? People tell you that. I've met these General Society Wiccans too, and funny enough, their favorite TV shows are Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Sabrina the Witch or whatever it is. Do people know, where did they get the idea of being Wiccans? I understand being disaffected from the Christian religion and everything. That's something that's been going on for generations, for centuries. Are we aware of that process, that more and more each generation is shifting into a new paradigm of this global society, and that as this gets accepted in a general and friendly way, for those that are Sabrina the TV show, which, Coven the TV show, whatever style Wiccans, people I've bumped into, normal, nice people, basically, but who will defend darker stuff they know nothing about. Have they heard these quotes that we just read, even from Bertrand Russell? One of the most influential areas of mass psychology is education. Religion plays a part, though a diminishing one. The press, the cinema, and the radio play an increasing part. Religion has been whittled away specifically since the introduction of the theory of evolution. Darwin's ideas were promoted by T.H. Huxley. They were promoted from the eugenicists as a public promotions way of combating religion. They specifically framed the debate in a false debate between God and science, and specifically took on religions of the day with the emerging science and deliberately created a conflict that actually was a Hegelian dialectic conflict, so they could produce out of that antithesis and that synthesis, the thesis and the antithesis, a new synthesis. And as that happens, you've got these new things that used to be underground, now accepted in the mainstream, but your garden variety Wiccan kind of gives cover for the really dark down people, right? That's something I would bring up. I mean, we've progressed on religion since the days of the Founding Fathers, where states like Virginia made you pay a compulsory tax to the church of the state, right? And they say, well, religious freedom and that kind of took over, and that the other thing of paying taxes to support the state religion fell off. But that's how far we've come in a couple hundred years.
Well, total mind control, man. Manipulation of society. And now it's in the normalization phase. Like, if I played Yuri Bezmenov, I have that whole video that G. Edward Griffin did with him in '85 up on Federal Jack, but I played like this 10-minute segment I have of it, and he breaks down the 4 ways that they're going to do this. And this was in '85. And if I remember correctly, they were like halfway through in '85, and now we're in that normalization period where everything's just being normalized. It's okay. I mean, pedophilia, it's not disgusting. It's a sexual preference. Literally, that's what they're saying. I mean, and people are like, "You're making that up." Go look it up. Go look it up. I talked about this last year, like 6 months ago, and it raised a stir for a minute, for my listeners, and some of them went and looked it up, and they were like, "Oh my God, he's not kidding." You know, I mean, the DSM-5, they say they're amending it, but they had pedophilia listed as, I think it was the DSM-5, they had it listed as a sexual preference or disease, not
exactly, because the light and dark sides of churches can agree on that, because the power structure, that's a disease that strikes the elite, right?
I don't think it's a disease. I think it's something that was taught to them.
That's in quotes, but yeah.
Well, see, to me, I think it's
corruption.
Well, it is corruption, but I think that has to do with what they're taught from when they're kids, because they're abused. You know, I'm not defending them. See, the difference between them and like Lady Gaga and all them is, as long as they aren't going out and actually abusing people themselves, then there's the difference. They're a puppet that gets used, abused, and then they get thrown away. And these people like George Bush and stuff, he's mind controlled too. When I talked to Fritz Springmeier about this, I said to him, "Did you see the paintings that he's been doing?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Look at those paintings and understanding mind control. Tell me if I'm wrong. Does this not look like he's like stepping outside of himself and looking at like it's like a different personality? You know,
it's like the drawings from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Literally, he looks like he's hit the walls in his programming are breaking down." And Fritz agreed with me. He's like, "That's what it looks like." I mean, you got to figure, getting old. The human brain when we're younger can sustain stuff like that. But as we get older, I mean, how many pounds of drugs did he ingest over the course of time that you don't know about? I'm not talking about the known cocaine habit, but he was mind controlled. I mean, so was Clinton. And when I say mind controlled, it's not like in some instances, yes, they probably without a shadow of a doubt they have alternate personalities, but this goes on to all of these kids. It's generational. I mean, it's generational abuse / satanic ritual abuse / mind control, and then they continue to do it. There are some people that are just, I don't know, that are just evil, dude, and they're just into it because they're into it. And those people, I know everybody's about light and love, and believe me, I always push everybody to love each other, and I tell everybody, end of each broadcast that I love everybody. But there's also a thing called divine retribution, and I don't know. If you're pissed off, if you're angry, and you just go attack somebody, that's one thing. But if somebody's raping little kids and slitting their throats, and they do it because they enjoy it, that's a whole other thing. That guy needs to get kicked off.
Well, the Caesarships of Rome would suggest that once you've reached the point of dictatorship, you've got evil inbreeding with itself. Basically, you can't last more than 9 generations before it's unsustainable, because it reaches the point of slitting throats and dressing up and preying upon women in public and marrying horses and killing your own father.
We're halfway there.
Definitely poisoning your family members. That happens early on.
Well,
power.
Well, now
and
we
evil.
can just have babies where there's 3 parents for one child, because they can just do all kinds of genetic stuff with it. So
yeah, you better be careful, because one of the states I think it was Kentucky, was one of the first states to they just made they're making a sperm donor pay child support, even though he had he didn't have anything to do with raising. It's not like he even had sex with the female to impregnate her or anything like that, and then they broke up, or just they had him.
They said it wasn't like an official process. They didn't go through the official process you're supposed to go through or something to declare that you're a sperm, or however that process is.
Because it was 2 lesbian women who were married. Wanted to have a kid. They got artificially inseminated, and then they got divorced. And now the state is trying to make him, the sperm donor, pay child support.
And then they filed for unemployment, right? Was that the same case?
I think so. That's the unconstitutional family court system.
I'll tell you what creeps me out about all of that.
Hold on, hold that thought, because the break is sneaking up.
The break.
Yes, I hear it sneaking up. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment. Tonight's live edition, DTRH, hanging out with my good friends Aaron Dykes, Melisa Melton. Check all their stuff out. Truthstream Media. You can't miss them. They're all over the place. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, the internet. They're taking
interwebs.
Yes, the interwebs. I love when people call it that. They're like, it's on the interwebs, and I'm like, the what? They're like, the interwebs. I'm like, okay. Old school. Okay.
The can't miss sensation with hundreds, sometimes thousands of viewers.
Can you do that?
Sometimes it's in the tins.
Can you do that in your Aaron Dykes?
Platform so bountiful you can't help
Yes.
but not see it from off the side of a highway.
It's bountiful. I can't do it.
Oh my
But
God, wasn't that for like a Burger King commercial or something we were making fun?
it was because that D-bag over at the New York Post was saying that the McDouble was the most bountiful food and that all poor people should just buy McDoubles because no one can afford organic food because that's the food that's for blonde soccer moms with $300 highlights.
Yeah, why don't you go out and buy a McRib sandwich too? They're only made of yoga mats.
They're made of hell.
My wife saw that and she's like, that's nice. She has a friend of hers that eats that crap, and she told him, she was like, you need to look what you're eating. You're eating yoga mats.
Nobody knows what they're eating anymore. We're filling our bodies with crap. I was meandering before the break away into another dark hallway because there's so many dark hallways in the building that we all reside in here in this matrix we live in. But I was actually wandering off down the hall of designer babies because that's the new thing. And I was just going to mention that, we live in a time where the food is completely adulterated. It's filled with chemicals. It's filled with, synthetic, who knows what is even in half of that. There's genetic modification going on in that food. Not to mention the fact that ever since the Industrial Revolution, we have all of these heavy metals that are completely polluting everything. So we've got pretty much some of the most disgusting food there is. If you really start researching the food, that will give you even worse nightmares. And on top of that now, we have all of these fertility clinics popping up everywhere. Because, not only is the food also poisoned, but so is the water, so is the air, with all of the chemtrails, the fluoride in the water, not to mention all the chemicals that are in the water, not to mention the chemicals that are running off into the water from all the CAFO feedlots, which goes to the food. Basically, it's all poisoned. I know it's a really beautiful outlook of the future. But anyway, it's all poisoned. And then you have all these fertility clinics popping up everywhere. That didn't used to be a thing. There didn't just used to be all these fertility clinics everywhere because no one could have babies. Now that's a thing because so many people are having a hard time having babies. Now, all of a sudden, this last year, a patent was introduced having to do with designer babies and specific selection of genes for specific traits that can just be added to the technology pre-existing in all of these fertility clinics. That creeps me out. Now we're talking about Gattaca. Now we're talking about the eugenics, dystopian future of, all the eugenicists' wet dreams. That's what we're talking about. That really creeps me out.
You know how you can tell when there's a movie like showcasing their agenda, like Eyes Wide Shut or something? When the public goes and sees it and they come out and they go, I have no idea what the hell that movie was about.
When it gets terrible reviews. Like
Yep.
Gattaca got terrible reviews. In Time got terrible reviews. I think Eyes Wide Shut,
That's
terrible
pretty astounding
reviews.
considering it had Justin Timberlake in it.
Yeah,
It still didn't do
because
well.
no one understands. The general public doesn't understand it. But see, they're not supposed to. You see, because they're living,
Exactly.
they're
It's like
living
a
in the
textbook
now.
for the agenda, though.
Well, but see, it's also subconscious programming. They're living in the now. Everybody is only aware of their conscious self. They're not really aware of their subconscious self, which is actually dictating like 95% of what we do. Okay, if not more. I mean, do you tell your heart to beat? No. Does it on its own. Do you tell your lungs to breathe in and out? No. I would be too busy telling myself that to be able to do a radio show or drive a car or do anything
function
else.
or exist.
Your
Well,
blood
okay.
flows and everything. Or your body, your immune system. Your immune system fights off everything every day. Do you wake up in the morning and check off a checklist? Immune system, start. Ching. No. So, like, your subconscious is already working and doing things without you even realizing it. What do you think it's being, just bombarded with? That's why your waking conscious mind is like, that was shit. But when you go home that night, you know the old expression, sleep on it? What do you think you're doing when you're sleeping on it? You're processing what you saw while you were awake. And that changes the way you think and the way you view the world. That's why it's so much more acceptable now to do certain things or see certain things in public. Because, hey.
I mean, yeah, well, that's the thing. People listening, if you haven't seen the movie In Time with Justin Timberlake, I didn't want to watch it specifically because it had Justin Timberlake. I was like, no, screw that. That's not the kind of movie I would watch. But then when someone finally talked me into watching it and I saw the agenda being portrayed in that movie, I was blown away and horrified, and I had to watch it again. And now I own a copy so that I can show it to other people who haven't seen it because it just freaks me out that badly. It's a future where everyone's been genetically engineered and pre-programmed with a clock inside of their body, and when they hit 25, they have one more year to live. And all of the money in that society is doled out as time. And then when they need to kill off a whole neighborhood of people, they just raise the price of coffee, you know? Or they raise the rates of getting from A to B. Because if you don't have enough time on your clock, you die. And of course, all the people who are the elite in this world have like a bajillion hours on their time clocks. And they're going to live forever. And they all get to be 25 forever with the help of science and technology. Of course, all the poor people get to scrounge around every day and barely make it through another day. And they're living day to day, literally. Because the currency is time. It's horrifying.
It's subconscious. Okay, and you could say, I know maybe this is reaching, but like just another form of how they subliminally put things into TV shows. If you understand, you understand Gattaca, you understand the deeper meanings behind it. If people understand that these films are put out to get you to subconsciously, again, it's to change your mind about how. It's to get you to think the way they think. Okay, we're not like them, and in order to think like them, okay, and in order to be controlled by them, we need to think like them, and in order to think like them, they need to program mass, society as a mass with the crap that you see them programming. And one of the ways that you look, once you're awake, you notice certain things. Okay. I like to unplug just like everybody else, and sometimes, yes, I'll watch something. I don't have TV. I just have Netflix, so I'll just if it's if it's not available on Netflix, I don't watch it. But there's this series I think it's funny called The League. Okay, so my wife and I like to watch it. One of the characters in The League, his name is Raffi. He runs around screaming randomly, Gattaca. Randomly not even in part of the and I know that it's an improv like comedy troupe that does it or whatnot, but who's to say somebody didn't say to him, hey, just randomly scream Gattaca, hey, give him, who's to say somebody didn't give him the idea and the guy ran with it at some point. I'm just saying it's odd that certain things like that are always, and when you understand the levels of the manipulation, you understand the meanings of certain things, and then you start to watch other pop culture, and it's getting worse now. It's getting a lot worse. If you remember probably 5 or 6 years ago, they admitted, the media and whoever they admitted that they were going to start, instead of having actors for commercials and then actors for TV, they were going to start using TV and film actors in commercials, and sometimes they would have them in the commercial as their character. And that was out of the ordinary back then. There were TV commercial actors, and then there were TV actors. This is only 5-6 years ago, right? Now look. Now most of the commercials you see there's actors that you might not see on TV, commercial actors. But a lot of the actors now you see are in character in these commercials. You know why they're doing that? They're blending reality and TV. They're making it harder for people to tell the difference between reality and this false reality that they present. What do you think reality television is about? Reality television was never, ever, ever about entertainment. It's about programming. It's about getting you used to having cameras everywhere, but it's about them presenting to you. Remember, it's about presentation. It's about your perception of things. Like my company commander in boot camp said to me, it doesn't matter if you're doing something bad. It matters if I perceive you to be doing something bad. It's about perception. And the perception is not for you. The perception is for the dumbed down, retarded masses. And when I say retarded, I'm not being nasty, or I'm not using it as a pejorative. I'm saying
you're not being PC.
Well, no. Well, see, that's the thing. They get people to say, "Oh, that's not PC." Retarded. If anybody understands mechanics, like I was a mechanic, you can retard an engine. It means to slow it down. Okay, like retard the timing on an engine. Well, we as society have been retarded.
Yeah, we have. Anybody wants to know a little bit more about how they can make reality look real or fake or blended or do whatever they want to it with television, they need to just go on YouTube and look up a video called Stargate Studios Virtual Backlot Reel 2009. That'll blow your mind away. Stargate Studios Virtual Backlot Reel 2009, and that's just showing how they use green screens to make things look absolutely real. They're absolutely 100% not real.
There's a video. Is that the one where it shows you like Ugly Betty and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it listed on YouTube under a different name, but I've seen the exact video. I showed that to my wife probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago because she used to watch the show Ugly Betty, when it was on TV when we used to have cable back in the day for a short, brief period of time because one of the places I lived it came free with the rent. I won't pay for it.
There's been a lot of places like that where they force the TV on you.
Yeah, like I won't like the place I have now. It's not like that. They're like, but we'll give you a package. I'm like, I don't want your crap television. Just give me my internet and leave me alone.
I'm pretty sure a lot of apartment complexes in particular see that as a kind of social pacification thing for getting so many people to live in a small space together.
Well, it's also a way. It's also a way of enticing people to get into your place. Hey, we have free cable. We give you free basic cable, 36 channels free, and it wasn't like you got like 5 or 6 channels. You literally got like most of the decent, the basic, it was like the expanded basic package or whatever, but it was free. So
I'll remember. I mean, I'll never forget when we finally canceled. When I finally decided to cancel cable and not have cable anymore myself personally, and I called up and the lady's like, "But what will you watch?" She just couldn't believe that. She's like, "You're not going to have any cable? But what will you watch?" I have to have cable or nothing. Like, I can't not have it. I have to have it. What possibly could I be doing if I don't have cable? How will I function?
You should have played with her like, "Oh my God, you're right."
What will I do?
Feign a nervous breakdown. Oh my God.
I will have nothing to do. I will melt into non-existence.
Aaron, dial 911. I'm having heart palpitations. And then drop the phone.
I had it for free for years in my apartment, but I didn't hook it up to my TV because I figured out that on top of everything else, I just wasted a lot of time with nothing. I mean, I flipped through the channels a couple times. There's nothing on.
You're not learning anything. You're not enhancing your existence by having this idiot box in front of you. Actually, it was funny. We talked to Catherine Austin Fitz about what they've put in the television programming, and she worked very high up on Wall Street, and she overheard them talking about the subliminal stuff that they were putting in programming. Back in the late 80s, they were talking about what they were doing, and she said she overheard a conversation that made her go home and throw her television out because she was so horrified by what she heard.
I heard that interview you guys did.
Yeah, and when she goes around talking to people, she said that most of the people in her audience have also gotten rid of their television.
Well, that's why
those are the people that are awake.
The only people
Isn't that interesting?
I won't throw away my TV. I don't use it, but the only time I use my television is once in a while. I'll sit and watch something with my wife.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while we do that. But as far as programming, we don't have television programming.
Oh, yeah, no, and, well, you know what I find? You don't have to throw away the device, because the device that can be used to program you can also be to unprogram you. You just got to watch the right stuff. Their technology can be used in reverse. It's just like knowledge is not really evil. It's just what you do with it, whether or not is what makes it evil or good, It's like a hammer. A hammer could be used to build a house or bash someone's skull in. It's not really the hammer that decides what it's going to do. It's the person that wields the hammer that decides. So information is the same way. And I think that the TV could be used the same way. I don't have it hooked up to cable because I just don't have a cable connection. So there is no point to it. I have internet. The TV in my bedroom has a Roku box on it and a DVD player. That's the only way my wife can watch anything. Is anything that I have on DVD or if it's on Netflix. And she has access to Hulu. But there's, she's gone through it and she's like, how do these people make money? Because it's just crap. It's just mindless, brainless garbage. And she used to love to watch television, but even now she's waking up more and more and more. There's a show on TV they have now, I guess it's airing on regular TV right now called Sleepy Hollow. And if you guys could literally do a video breakdown of this show because it's almost done. So if you have access to Hulu at all, or know someone that does, use their password and log in, and you should watch the whole series and do like a breakdown video of it. I swear to God, the amount of symbolism in the basic premises in the first video They're in the town of Sleepy Hollow. The first show, they're in the town of Sleepy Hollow, and like evil's coming back, and the Headless Horseman is back, and the Headless Horseman is like this. He's basically one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. He was death, and somehow he was taken out by Ichabod Crane, and Ichabod, Ichabod he was a school teacher, but, he's really a badass school teacher. He was like special forces for George Washington, in the Revolutionary War, and Death is riding he's riding a horse, but he's wearing a British Army outfit. So, I mean, they're involving George Washington, the Revolutionary War. Of course, Ichabod was a Freemason. There's Freemason symbols all over the place, and not even just. Again, when I say Freemason symbols, I should probably say Freemason/Illuminati symbolism, not just the standard Freemasonry symbolism, but even the more occult stuff that's hidden from like I explained earlier, the outer rings. And it's just all over the place. And there's a little bit of fact mixed in with just complete garbage. And the problem is people are going to formulate their opinions based off of that, because it's got some historical stuff in it. They talk, the Revolutionary War, George Washington, the Constitution. All you have to do is give them just enough, and then the rest of it, when later on in life they fill in the blanks. Their opinions are already formulated by the garbage they saw on TV. Look, it happened to me and my generation to a certain degree. When I was like, I don't know, about 15, 16 years old, I hadn't had my TV for years because I had been punished, and my mother gave me access to the television again. And because I had stopped getting in a lot of trouble, and I didn't want it because I realized that the first time I sat down in front of the TV, there was nothing on that interested me, and I was bored out of my mind. So I got up and I just said, "Yeah, I really don't care." And from that time on, I've really never plugged in and given a crap as to what's on, when it's on. I mean, I didn't really care from when I was younger when she unplugged the TV. When I was in I would say like 10 to like 13, 14. I still read. I read a lot. I mean, that was around the time that I was introduced to the JFK assassination. But my brain wasn't, there were times I remember just watching television and not getting anything done. No homework, no nothing. I would get in trouble with school the next day because I would have gotten sidetracked watching 4 television shows and I didn't do any work. Not that school, that crap, we can get into that. That's a whole side issue. But the point is, I could see how it distracted me. And when it was taken away from me, my mother was right. She said to me, she used to refer to the TV as the idiot box. And she used to say, you watch that thing for too much, it's going to make you stupid. So she took it away from me and she said, you're wasting too much time with it. You need to pay attention to your studies. And my grades improved. I started reading again because I couldn't watch TV. And lo and behold, that's how I stumbled. That was upon the time one of the books that she got me introduced me to the Kennedy assassination. So, I mean, who knows? Would I have even looked into the Kennedy assassination as young as I did if I was too busy tuned in watching cartoons or whatever other brainless crap is pumped out? You know what I mean?
It's just singing and dancing.
Ugh. Singing.
As far as the symbolism, I think we're all familiar enough with the idea of double meanings. Well, there's more than just 2 meanings to any given symbol. It's kind of more like a totem pole, where as you go deeper and deeper, there's yet another meaning, yet another meaning. The Bible talks about the 7 seals. There's like sevenfold meanings for any given significant symbol. Maybe more, I don't know.
Well, they also use something that's called word magic. And I've talked about this with actually on Hangar 18 the other day. I talked about this too with David Whitehead. He's a host. He's the guy that's on in my slot on Mondays. Great host, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You got to listen to his archives. Great guy. I'm going to work on getting Dave on the broadcast, but he's into this stuff too. And we discussed. We were talking about this a little bit. People need to understand that the meanings of words have been completely altered and just twisted around, and it's called word magic. I mean, look at the word understand, for instance. Kev Baker and I were talking about this last night too. In the instance of if you're dealing with a police officer and he says, blah 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 blah, do you understand what I'm saying to you? If you say yes, I understand you. Okay, why do you think when they're taught to scream that, the cops are taught to scream that at you when they have their guns pointed at you? Because if you say to the cop, I don't understand you, okay, the cop might think, at least in his training, he's going to think you're defying him. And who knows, you might get shot or tasered. Okay, but if you say to the cop, even though you're under duress, and technically the way it works, even with contracts, if you're under duress, it makes the contract null and void. But I digress. They have their gun pointed at you and they scream, "Do you understand?" Or even if they're being polite and you say, "Yes, I understand," you're saying, "I stand under your authority," meaning they can literally put their boot on you. Okay, you are beneath them. That's what you're saying to them. That's what "I understand" means when you say it to a police officer or a judge. Yes, I stand under your authority. You have to understand UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. You have to get a copy of Black's Law Dictionary so you could look up a lot of these definitions and see what it means in legalese, because that's how they nail you, okay? And a lot of these words, when they say something, they mean the other definition of it, not the definition that you know. I mean, look at government. People don't even realize the word government. It's a Latin.
Steer the mind.
Right, it means to control the mind. It's two words, Latin, a verb and a noun. Govern, and then ment, which is mentis or mind. And it's govern means to control, and then the mind. So, to control the mind. And everybody's like, "Oh, I love government." So you love mind control? That's what you're saying. I love being told what to do. That's what you're being saying. Well, I need to be told what to do. I couldn't possibly live without someone telling me, "Well, what I do, Popeye, I wasn't told what to do." Oh, no. Have free thought? I mean, what did we do before we were being told what to do? Oh. You know what I mean? Like, no one ever answers that question. It's the simple questions. When people debate me, I throw stuff out like that, and that's when I get, "Shut up. I hate when people..." And then I'll tell them they're resorting to a logical fallacy. "I hate when people fall back on logical fallacies. I know I used an ad hominem attack against you, but I have no other option with people like you." With people like me, who use logic to debate? We can't have a debate. We have to have an argument where I say something, you don't like what I have to say. So you're a jerk. That's where we are in this country, just so everybody's clear.
It's just singing and dancing. That's going to be my new argument for everything now.
It's just singing and dancing.
You don't like it? It's just singing and dancing.
Well, philosophically, the contractual agreement for government, comes out of fear, the idea that we need this common defense, and so we'll agree, regrettably, of course, to a limited government for the common defense of everyone. Well, look where that road leads.
I agree. But hey, it's just a contract. But I don't know anything about contracts because, hey, I don't read the fine print. I just sign here where I'm told. By the way, that's why they made it illegal to not sign your tickets. Remember, I think Congress actually put that you had to sign tickets or something like that. Or maybe it's on a state level that most of the states made it. You had to do. The reason they had to do that is because people were realizing that if the only way that ticket stuck to them was if they signed that ticket. Because once you sign that ticket, you're not that corporation in all caps that's on your license. You represent them in the physical body, but the Constitution even enumerates that you are not a corporation. Okay, so they can only go after the courts. Law Society can only go after corporations. Therefore, your name in all caps is a corporation. When you sign that ticket, you're agreeing to physically represent the corporation that is whatever your straw man's name is, which is your name. Well, your straw man, by the way, has been dead since birth, but he's the one that gets all your tickets and everything else, your credit card bills, anything. So you agree to all that when you sign that ticket, and they made it illegal to not sign the ticket because people were like, I don't know, I guess around the 70s or 80s, whenever when they made it illegal or started making it illegal, because people were realizing that, hey, if I don't sign that ticket, I don't have to pay the fine, or I'm not really subject to those points, because they understood the way the law really is. So then they just made it illegal for you to not sign the ticket, which by itself, isn't that violating your constitutional rights? So that means that law is null and void. Hey, I'm going deep. We only have about a minute and a half left, guys. Time flies with you two.
Well, I'll just tell you, it's just singing and dancing. This is my new thing now. I'm going to make a graphic of this and put it on your page. Everything is singing and dancing.
I have to have you guys back on soon. Maybe
the State of the Union is just singing and dancing.
Maybe if you're free next week.
I might be singing and dancing.
The State of the Union is such a weird pledge to the empire.
I don't know. I thought Kenneth Webb did a really good job with his channel with his mashup of both Bushes and Clinton and Obama, and how they all basically sound the same. Don't people ever get that clue that it all just sounds the same?
They're all reading from the same scriptwriter, probably, or the same
It's
group of
probably the
scriptwriters.
same speach every year.
Well,
Few
Bill
tweets.
Clinton's inauguration was all about hope and change. The winds of change. Same script.
Ugh.
Well, they have to tell you it's changed because it stays the same.
Yeah. Again, lies, lies, la 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 la.
Singing. Are you singing? Are you dancing?
I'm singing and dancing, so it's just singing and dancing. When we were watching this, when we were listening to the State of the Union, that's what we were watching it on the stream too. While we were talking about it live on air, I was playing Hitler speeches over top of him at random points during the speech. So it sounds the same, and when you read the subtitles and the translations, you're like, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. We love you all. The solutions to our problems
do love you all.
are an inside job. Go check out Melisa and Aaron. They do awesome work. They're awesome human beings.
Aw.
The
You are
last
too.
free